balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic. Providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Well, it seems like a couple of different things happened. One is one of my Whiskey Warrior P1s has donated. What did he say? 28 gallons. 28 gallons of platelets. That's right. Congratulations, I think. That's amazing. You've got more strength than I do there, buddy. Also too, we were discussing the heat, and apparently it's hot in California today. It's actually quite warm here too. We're at like 75, 76 degrees. And I know for my East Coaster Florida folks, yeah, you guys all are like, well, you're gluttons for punishment. I'll just say that right now. With your, 100+ degree heat without any issues. Yeah, no thanks. I've said it before on this program, and I'll probably say it again, just because, but 68, anything greater than like 68, 69, 70, and I start wanting to put on the AC and it's just way too hot. Anyway, so right now it is a little warm here in the studio, and that's, of course, it is what it is, but anyway, we're coming around. Honestly, because we were talking about the weather and everything, we're coming around to the time that, I actually shift out my, background, and my background turns into my nice little snow video scene, my upper snow cabin, because I actually like the snow, and we're getting close. November 1st, and we're getting close. So, so yeah, there it is. Plus two, I found out apparently, and yeah, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. She knows who she is, but apparently I put somebody to sleep last night. That's a part of the show. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do that. It was actually the individual that I'm talking about had a really long day and was dealing with allergies, probably had some Benadryl, and that, of course, helped to, exacerbate the situation and put her to sleep. But you know what? That's okay. It's all right. I understand. And some people have even talked about coming in late. That's fine, too. Hey, at least you're here. That's the thing. At least you're here. Oh, and, even if you don't catch the lives and you go and you catch the show later, that's okay too, because realistically, this show is for all of you, for everyone to enjoy whenever they can, wherever they can. And, that's the purpose of me being here, is to basically push it, push out information, hopefully doing it in somewhat of an entertaining way. And, hopefully you guys get something out of it. And that is just fantastic. That you're even, that you take time out of your busy day. You don't seem to understand that I really do appreciate this. I appreciate every single one of my Whiskey Warriors, because you guys take time and you spend time on me. And so I don't think you guys really understand how important that is. You guys have an extremely important avenue in terms of going in and watching this show and providing me with feedback and jumping in and so on and so forth, that it warms my heart to know that you're here. And to know that you're even out there, and to watch you in the chat, even if I may not engage with you all the time, I do see most of the chats that run through. Believe me, I'd like to forget some of them. But still, the point that I'm making here is that I appreciate all of you, all of my Whiskey Warrior P1s, all of the guests, all of the folks that come and don't maybe not say anything. Maybe you just sit and lurk. That's all good too. because at least you're here and you're willing to spend time watching the program that I'm putting together for you. And so that I do appreciate all of that. I appreciate all of you for doing that. You're spending valuable time doing it. And right now I am spending valuable time telling and showing all of you that I appreciate you. But let's go ahead and get this all kicked off. So tonight we have the fabulous, the wonderful, the absolute, too late, Bonnie, too late. It's already there. The absolute wonderful, fabulous, and very articulate My News from Rumble Land in her rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. So please, if you would, stand, remove your hat, if you have one, and place your hand over your heart and follow along with My News in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, My News, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance. Hey, if you want to get your rendition played here on the program, it's really, really very simple. All you have to do is record yourself saying it in your style. And once that's done, take that audio file, attach it to an email, and send it to me at fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. If you haven't noticed, I'm trying to make it like, a mix, male, female, all the time. So the more that I get, the better off I am in getting all of that done. All right, let's talk about tonight's sponsor. And that is, of course, the Institute on the Constitution. The Institute on the Constitution was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission. That is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online. To get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online. Or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this thing. 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around tear and water-resistant pages. And check out that binding. It is not cheap glue here, folks. This is stitched all the way through the leather. They have a 100-year warranty against material and workmanship defects. If something goes wrong with this thing within that 100 years, you can send it back to them and they will either fix it or replace it for free. Not to mention the fact it has, as my rumblers love to say, sexy rounded corners that don't poke you in the butt when you put it in your pocket or your chest. Either way, that's up to you. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved, and my youngest whiskey warrior has ensured that the internals on this will get you your civics badge in Scouts. Go to constitution.americanperspective.online and order yours today. They make great stocking stuffer gifts for all the members, yes, including those leftist morons that are a part of your family. They do make great stocking stuffers, so go and check that out today, and also check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution's offering today. So, and I thank them for allowing me to be an affiliate of theirs. Fantastic. Anyway, all right. So, I have seen all over the social media pages and in some of the news outlets that there are some fantastic, wonderful, exciting endorsements for Kamala Harris that have come out today. Yes, like, for an example, that wonderful rhino, Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney has decided to endorse Kamala Harris, which is no real surprise because, let's be honest, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, and several other Republicans are not Republicans. They are Republicans in name only. But I have to admit, the biggest and most important endorsement of the 2024 election season comes not from a person within the continental or even the full United States. I got to tell you, this endorsement, I mean, Kamala Harris should be putting this on every single one of her advertisements. Every single time she takes the microphone, this should be the first thing out of her mouth is, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that I am being endorsed by..." Oh, goodness. That kind of blew that out of the water. Vladimir Putin. Yes, that's right. The good old president, or, well, let's just be honest, dictator, over at our greatest adversary. Well, I mean, technically, I mean, she could get Xi Jinping to also endorse her too. That would be awesome. But here, Vladimir Putin has endorsed Harris for 2024. Oh my gosh. Okay, look, let's be honest. I don't really care if Putin endorsed her or not. But it seems extremely funny that, you know, the Russian hoax 5.72531 version 6 has come out now. And here, good old Vlad, went ahead and endorsed Harris. Now, he did it, honestly, he did it on a video. He did it through video, and we'll play it here in just a second. But you got to watch. You really got to watch what he is, what he is essentially doing here. Because, I mean, let's be honest. First of all, I don't think Putin really cares, honestly, whether it's Trump or Kamala. All he wants to do is sow seeds of discord within the United States. He wants us to get so enamored and wrapped amongst ourselves that we don't interfere with what he wants to do. I mean, that's like the perfect place for him. But again, keep in mind that, yeah, he's just looking to, like, he would rather, I'm serious. I think that he would rather have Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, because both of them are, you know, pushovers. They actually follow the Marxist ideology, which he's from the old Soviet Union. Remember, he used to be a KGB agent. That's where he got his upbringing. And so, you know, he honestly, yeah, he's, yeah, anyway, let's just watch this, right here and now.
Can name a favorite candidate. It used to be Joe Biden, but now he is not participating in the election campaign, and he recommended all his allies to support Ms. Harris. So that is what we are going to do. So it was, well, he said that we should, that is why we should also do that. Well, her laugh, she's laughing, her laugh is so fascinating. It means that everything is good, and if everything is good, it means that, for instance, if we're speaking about Joe Biden, there are so many sanctions against Russia introduced, and if everything is good with Ms. Harris, maybe she'll refrain herself from such measures, or maybe she'll change them. So in the end, it will be the choice of the U.S. people, and we will respect this choice.
Okay, so yeah, you notice though he sort of chuckled. I mean, he sort of chuckled in terms of, you know, being asked the question, and then also, of course, the fact that he even was considered it. Now, he did mention, as you notice, that he hopes that they don't continue the sanctions on Russia. That's a big deal. You know, the power that the U.S. has, which I'm not saying that this is true in every single case, but as you notice, they all are a little bit concerned about some of the sanctions, because whether or not the sanctions actually really work, they can provide potential obstacles and roadblocks. And he does not want the U.S., he doesn't want Donald Trump in. I'm fairly certain of that. But in the reality of it, as long as we are turned on each other and focused on each other, and he's left alone to do whatever, he's okay with that. And you'll notice, too, that he entered into the Donbass and Crimea regions under Obama, did nothing under the Trump administration, and then attacked Ukraine again when Biden came in, because he knew that there's nothing that these folks are going to do. They are weak leaders. They are weak minded individuals. They are weak in foreign policy, and he can just run roughshod over all of them. But anyway, I figured that should be an endorsement that Kamala Harris just, you know, raises to the roof, just like, you know, Willie Brown or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, so there you go. Another famous endorsement, although this goes to the opposite side of the aisle. This is a very famous endorsement, and it comes from a man by the name of Obama. And Obama has endorsed Donald Trump. Yes, Barack Obama's brother, Malik, has endorsed Trump. Now, to be fair, Donald Trump has been endorsed by Malik Obama the last couple times, but he went ahead and endorsed him again. He's a long supporter of Trump and having endorsed him before, and on Wednesday, he simply posted on X, "I am Malik Obama. I am a registered Republican, and I am voting for President Donald Trump." So there you go. All right. Well, another famous family kind of got a little bit of egg on their face this week. Well, everybody's been talking about the Arlington National Cemetery thing with, you know, Trump going there at the behest of the family. So it's not like it was a political campaign. It wasn't any kind of thing with regards to that. But so many people came out and started talking about it. And this one famous individual, or at least partially famous individual, only because of their last name, started railing against Trump for his appearance at Arlington, and got basically gut checked on the entire thing. Well, you've probably heard this person's last name. Well, this whole family's last name. The McCains. The McCains, of course, came out and started railing against Trump, saying that, it was a campaign event, that there was, all kinds of, it was how disrespectful, and they jumped onto the whole leftist media train thing with the entire stuff. And then all of a sudden, they come to find out that their patriarch who passed, good old Senator John McCain, also had a ad. So John McCain's youngest son was on X, or there was a post on X where he was talking about Trump's appearance at Arlington Cemetery and calling it a violation. Jimmy McCain also tells me that he changed his registration to Democrat several weeks ago and plans to vote Harris in November. Except there's only one problem. John McCain actually used and filmed part of a political ad in Arlington National Cemetery. Here's the political ad.
Hey, folks. Donald Trump.
Sorry. I didn't preload this. God dang it. I gotta quit doing that. Anyway, he apparently, John McCain, also had a clip, as well as Obama and Biden too, just to put everything out there in front, is the fact that they've all used it. They've all used Arlington National Cemetery in their political ads. And so for the U.S. Army to all of a sudden get freaked out, or even for the left to all of a sudden get freaked out over this, is really, really bad. Really bad. And very poor. Well, as I said, only morons vote Democrat. That's just the way it is. Okay. So enough about all of that stuff. These people, they're just horrible. Anyway, the left can't seem to understand the truth about things. And they constantly run from the truth. And by the way, Pops, good point. Pops McGroin over on Rumble, they just hate Trump so much they don't care about how hypocritical it looks. Actually, I don't think they care about hypocrisy, because they don't. I mean, if it was a deal with hypocrisy, then all of their stuff that they got going on wouldn't make a difference. It's not hypocrisy. To them, they are better than the rest of us, even though they are what the KGB used to call the stupid smart people. And that was according to Yuri Bezmenov, not my words, his. But the thing about it is that these people they just don't get it, and they just don't care. Because to them, it's the ends that justifies the means. So here we are in another, unfortunately, another lie and everything else. These people, meaning the left, seem to think that the answer to all of the school shootings, and I know this is a bit of a gear shift here, so follow with me. The answer to all of these school shootings is, of course, banning the tool that's being used. And what they don't seem to understand, and I've been arguing, yes, that is true. I've been arguing with several morons on X. So if you're watching me on X, you can go and check out all of my tweets here lately that have all been talking about this. But they don't seem to understand that there is an underlying root cause to all of this. And this latest shooting as well, with 4 people dead And I've seen numbers from like 3 to 9 that are injured. I think I'm going to go with 9. But the thing about it is that a lot of these people don't understand is that, first of all, guns themselves don't kill people. Thanks for the reminder, Bonnie. But also, too, is that most of these individuals, the vast majority of these individuals, were previously known to law enforcement or some other authority. And once again, that is the case with the young perpetrator who perpetrated this heinous crime. Here in News Nation, Georgia school shooting, FBI investigated the suspect in 2023. Wait. So law enforcement knew about this guy? Now you got to ask yourself, and again, they do this all the time. It's not as though these kids just like all of a sudden wake up one morning, or these individuals, I should say, because there's more than just kids involved. But the fact of the matter is that it's not as though these individuals just all of a sudden wake up one morning and say, you know what, it's a really good idea for me to go out and shoot a whole bunch of people. No, this is a long progression that gets them to the act itself. And the challenge here is the fact that let's be honest with ourselves. It's not hard to notice these things. It's not as though these kids are completely hidden. There's certain aspects about them that are fairly common across the board. And majority of these things, majority of them are on some sort of a mental program where they've already been checked out by psychologists or psychiatrists, or they're on some sort of medication or whatever. They all have this. Every single one of them have. Because as I've said in the past, in a couple different episodes here, just since this has occurred, and even as far back as when we're talking about like the Nashville shooter and some of those other ones, they all have some run-in with authorities and authority figures and potentially even law enforcement. So the question must be asked, why is nothing being done about them? And I think the biggest one, especially for those that are underage, is the fact that they are underage. And you have parents who are not standing up to the fact that, hey, you know what? My kid has a problem and I need to do something about it. And I'm sorry, there is a big difference. Having raised 2 kids myself and very proud of my 2 children who are now adults, you can tell when you're off. You can tell when they're off, when they have something that isn't quite right. And you need to be able to be in tune enough with your children to understand this. But apparently, this young person had been interviewed after the FBI received some anonymous tips in May of 2023 about online threats to commit an unspecified school shooting, the agency said in a statement. The FBI narrowed the threats down and referred the case to the Sheriff's Department in Jackson County, which of course is adjacent to Barrow County. Sheriff's office interviewed the then 13-year-old and his father, who said that there were hunting guns in the house, but that the teen did not have unsupervised access to them. The teen also denied making any online threats. Now, retired Special Agent Bobby Chacon told News Nation's Banfield on Wednesday that even though Jackson County officials received information on the alleged perpetrator, that wasn't enough to charge him with any crime. And that's true. It comes down to, has a crime been committed? If there hasn't, this is a quote from him, if there hasn't, then there's no action to be taken other than to tell the school you need to keep an eye on this kid. You need to have more engagement with him, whether it be with a guidance counselor or a school psychologist. The school is set up to do that absent a crime being committed. That's all the authorities can do. So the problem here is not whether or not these things are surprising to anyone when they, I mean, understand they are horrific, okay? They are absolutely horrific. But what's even more horrific is the fact that these kids, these individuals, are well known to law enforcement, and yet the law enforcement is not able to do anything about it. That they have their hands tied in terms of what can be done. And so what ends up happening is you end up in a situation with these people who are essentially, these are cries for help, folks. That's what they are. These red flags that you encounter with these people, okay, are cries for help. And they're not getting the help that they need. And one way, and I've said this on my socials, one way is to make sure that you have the nuclear family. The nuclear family that the Democrats are trying to destroy, that the Democrats have done quite well with destroying, and of course making it impossible for a single income family to survive. That's our society today. You know, again, these are cries for help, and yet nobody seems to want to take the initiative and the responsibility to collect and correct these kids. Get them into programs where they need to be in order to understand their acting. Every single one of these. There's no surprise here, people. There really isn't. I don't know of any, I can't even think of one single incident where all of a sudden somebody out of nowhere just decided to go and commit murder. It just doesn't seem to make any sense. And what really doesn't make sense, of course, is the Democrats' consistent call. Oh, if we just get rid of the guns, that's going to take care of it. Yeah, that's really going to take care of it. More laws are not going to do anything. Getting rid of guns is not going to do anything. All that does is take away one tool to use. All you have to do is look at places that are outside, like London. London doesn't have guns inside, but yet they have a whole bunch of knifings and scissorings. Folks, it's not the tool that is the issue. It's the lack of help. And nowadays you have the left pushing this ideological idea that, yeah, you can be whatever you want to be. If you want to be a cat, believe that you're a cat, you're a cat. Rather than trying to get them the help that they need to understand why they believe they're a cat or anything else. You've got bullying, you've got all kinds of other stuff that normally would generally take care of itself. But this whole concept and whole idea that, everybody gets to be whatever they want to be just because they believe it is honestly, it's wrong. I'm not a very athletic individual. Never have been. I can do things. I can do certain things, but I'm not a super athlete. But that's okay. That's okay. Because of the fact that I was able to use my mind to do things. You don't have to be everything to everybody. You don't have to be. You learn that you have certain talents, and those are the talents that you go and use and utilize. Failure is the road to success. And we haven't given these kids a pathway to deal with either failure or bullying or any of those kinds of things to help increase their character. It's not okay to tell them that, it's bullying, you get somebody involved and tell them to stop bullying. I'm sorry, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You have to learn, you have to get the tools necessary to internalize, to be able to work with it internally and work it out. And if that comes to, believe it or not, if that actually comes to a physical altercation with the bully, so be it. But nowadays, you can't even do that. Nowadays, it's wrong to actually stand up for yourself. Nowadays, it's wrong to actually do what needs to be done in order to maintain the peace and the status quo and to protect yourself in times of trouble. That brings me to my next article. And this is true because I've seen it, especially in Democrat-run states. Here in red state, Honolulu, man stops and kills mass shooter and is promptly arrested for murder. See, this is part of the problem, folks, right here. The victims are no longer the most important people in this. It is the perpetrator. So, Police Chief Arthur Logan, apparently he wants you to call him Joe, told the local paper that in the state of Hawaii and in his city, you cannot defend yourself based on stand your ground principles. So essentially what happened here was that there was an attack where 3 people were killed and 2 others injured in a shooting at a home stemming from a dispute between neighbors on a Saturday night in Waianae, which is a West Oahu community. The shooter was also fatally shot by a resident who was arrested on second-degree murder charges. Now, the police chief, Joe, said, in Hawaii, we are a non-stand-your-ground state. Even if you have a license to carry, if you're an individual that discharges a firearm that is involved in injuring another person, you're going to be arrested. Okay. But yet here, it also shows inside this, in a use of force protection statute, it said, subject to the provisions of this section and of section 703308, the use of force upon or toward another person is justifiable when the actor believes that such force is immediately necessary for the purpose of protecting himself against the use of unlawful force by the other person or on the present occasion. It also continues, the use of deadly force is justifiable under this section if the actor believes that deadly force is necessary to protect himself against death, serious bodily injury, kidnapping, rape, or forcible sodomy. But here's the problem. They don't seem to want to enforce these things or allow them. You know, I can remember when a self-defense act was pretty much just that, a self-defense act. That if I was being attacked, which, by the way, The right to self-defense is a constitutional right. It's in our Constitution. We have a right to life. We have a right to self-defense. That's where the Second Amendment comes from. We have a right to defend ourselves when being attacked. That's all part and parcel of the American value system and principles that we have here. But here, apparently, especially in Democrat states, that isn't the case. Now, I know here in my state of Washington, it would be pretty bad, okay, if something were to happen here. But this is the pathway that the Democrats want to provide for the criminals. The victims are not even looked at anymore. The criminals are the ones that the Democrats love. This is exactly where Kamala Harris was going and has done throughout her entire DA career. She also takes those criminals and she has worked on letting them out, giving them no cash bail. She was even bailing them out from the BLM riots out in Minnesota with good old Tampon Tim Walz. See, there's a problem in the American culture today. And that problem is clearly that we have lost, in the words of President Reagan, we have lost the American precept that it is the perpetrator who causes the crime. We've lost the idea of accountability, responsibility for your actions. See, I can remember growing up that when you threw a baseball through a window, it was your responsibility. And if you were a kid who had no money, it was your parents' responsibility to fix what was broken. In today's society, with the Democrats in charge, it's now the homeowner's responsibility. Because God forbid there was a freaking window pane in that spot when that baseball flew over to that location. We've lost the American precept of responsibility for our own actions. Society has gotten to the point where we are now blaming other things. Just like all of the other stuff like DEI and CRT and all of the other pushes that the Democrat leftist lunatic morons put out there. It's not your responsibility to be able to actually perform and, be able to survive within a meritocracy system. No. What has to happen is you have to identify as some group that is marginalized, and that marginalized group will get you what you need. This is exactly what DEI means. This is exactly what CRT focuses on. It's not your fault. It's because of the inherent racism within our culture that causes you to not perform, to not get ahead. It's the victim that gets lost in the shuffle. These people, and I'm talking in terms of Kamala Harris and Walz, Walz didn't even bother to call out the police or help the police in Minneapolis during the BLM riots, because in his mindset, they have a point and they're able to burn down other people's homes and businesses and take away, other people's stuff. No. We need to get back to the precept of accountability, responsibility for your actions. And when you do something wrong, you live up to whatever the punishment comes. Because you did something wrong. And if that turns out, in this particular case, if that turns out to the fact that you decide to do something extremely stupid and get killed for it, well, we can't blame the individual who brought you to that end because you were so stupid. As to do something so dumb as to break into somebody's home. Because you don't know what's on the other side. And that, my friends, is the power of deterrence, which is another piece that we've lost, is the power of deterrence. There's no fear in the criminal element anymore because of the fact that all of the laws have gone in their favor because of these leftist, lunatic, Marxist morons who want this to happen. So we've got a choice coming up in November. We've got a choice as to whether or not we want this to continue, these kinds of things to continue, where somebody who goes and puts their own life on the line in order to save others and ends up getting into trouble for doing so, rather than being congratulated and thanked for making sure that it wasn't any further. This is why police officers, and many of them, are at the point where they just don't care anymore because they won't get backed up by the system. They'll get demonized. They'll get thrown under the bus, like Derek Chauvin. I'm not calling him necessarily an angel, but he got tossed under the bus and railroaded big time because of a man who was consistently in trouble with the law went and decided to take too much fentanyl than his body could handle. We need to stop this, folks. We need to stop this. The only way to stop it is to stop the leftist lunatics from controlling all of our aspects of our society. We need to take that back. And then we can reevaluate and decide what else needs to be done for that. All right. Let me go. I went a little long for that, so let me tell you about this wonderful shirt company. I'm wearing one of their fantastic shirts right now. This is the Don't Tread on Me, and I'm going to step over to the side here. Don't Tread on Me shirt. Okay. Got a big old rattlesnake on the back, and underneath that it says, Don't Tread on Me. This is, of course, theflagshirt.com. Theflagshirt.com, they have a bunch of Patriot gear and apparel. You see me wear it, not every time, but a lot of times. And they've got some great Patriot apparel, t-shirts, all kinds of other clothing, men, women, children. They also have patriotic red, white, and blue glasses and other accessories that you can use. Right now, they are really pushing their 9/11 commemorative t-shirts. So you can go and check them out at theflagshirt.com. If you buy $75 worth of items, they will give you free shipping. But if you don't want to go up to that $75, you can also do this. I will help you by getting you a $5 off coupon. All you have to do is go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, get that coupon, put it in the promo code at checkout, and you will get $5 off your order. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, and once again, grab that coupon code and put it in the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com. That's theflagshirt.com, and get yourself patriotized. All right, folks. I was watching, I saw this article, and it just made me think, because one of the arguments that, of course, the left has is that, we're in a climate crisis. We've got heat waves everywhere. It's because of our use of petroleum products and all kinds of, dirty things that we've got going on. And all you have to do is reduce your use or whatever, and we can solve the world's problems just by us cutting things back. Well, what ended up happening is this article came out really fast. And this reminded me that we're not alone on this planet, as often as people might think. 57 million tons of plastic pollution is created yearly, according to this study. However, the majority of this, guess where it comes from? Lagos, Lagos, Nigeria emitted the most plastic pollution of any city, according to the study that this article talks about. They examined plastics that go into the open environment, not the ones that go into landfills or are properly burned. And for 15% of the world population, government fails to collect and dispose of waste, the study authors said. But the biggest reason is Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. Both of those produce the most plastic waste. Yeah, that includes the 255 million people in India. So there you go, folks. It's not America that's causing this problem. It's other countries. And if we don't get those wrapped up into the whole climate crisis thought processes and get them to stop doing this, well, we're not going to be able to make a dent. They compared this, by the way, that 57 million tons of plastic to basically it's enough pollution each year to fill New York City's Central Park with plastic waste as high as the Empire State Building, according to researchers at the University of Leeds in the UK. So this isn't even a US place. Folks, it's not us, okay? We've already cleaned up our act. We've got it mostly cleaned up for all of this. Speaking of cleaning up acts, cleaning up an act, oh my gosh. So, I don't know if anybody heard, but we had a plea deal come down, and Hunter Biden himself, he pleads guilty in LA. He's now facing up to 17 years in prison for his tax fraud charges. Yeah. Well, 15, 17, whatever. But this in red state, apparently he went to the courtroom today and he pled guilty this afternoon to all charges brought against him in a federal indictment related to failure to pay income taxes and tax evasion from 2016 to 2019. In accepting the plea, the judge, U.S. District Court Judge Mark Scarsi, told Biden that he faces a maximum punishment of 17 years in prison and a fine between $500,000 to $1 million. Now, he initially said 15 years, but later corrected himself. Sentencing is supposed to be held at a later date after court officials, prosecutors, and the defense team present their recommendations to the court. And I can almost guarantee you within 24 hours after that, Joe Biden will have a pardon. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Yeah. I can almost guarantee you that. In fact, that's more than likely why Joe Biden is hanging on to the office. There's some suggestion that that was essentially what happened, is that they said, hey, look, Joe, you got a choice. Or actually, Jill, you've got a choice. You can either prop Joe up for the rest of this term. You can prop him up for the rest of his term and allow him to pardon his son Hunter once Hunter pleads guilty or does whatever with his case. Or we can 25th you now and you're just gone. That's more than likely how the whole thing went down. And of course, for those of you who are liberal leftists who are like, no, Joe fell on the sword. No, he didn't. He didn't want to leave. He was not going to leave on his own. They won't. He wouldn't leave on his own. That was part of the problem. He was losing, and he was still thinking that he was the greatest president ever, which, of course, you guys seem to think that he's the greatest president ever, and you're wrong about that. But anyway, the, yeah. Oh, 3 Chevy, of course, has been saying this before, but he says, remember what I said. Joe pardons Hunter, then steps out to let Kamala in. Yeah, well, that's, yeah, it could happen. It could happen. But we'll have to see when sentencing happens because, like I said, I guarantee you within 24 hours, there's probably going to be a signed pardon from Joe. Well, Hunter wasn't the only one that was entering a plea deal, or a plea, I should say, not a plea deal, but a plea today. Trump's court case in D.C. with the whole election interference thing came back around the horn and got back in front of Judge Chutkan. And he entered a plea through his lawyers, but entered a not guilty plea in the D.C. 2020 election superseding indictment. So the superseding indictment, remember the one that got filed by Jack Smith, which didn't really change the charges, but dropped like 1 or 2 people off of it. Yeah, that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, he pleaded not guilty through his attorneys in the court. Now, he had already said, this is nothing new. He had already said that he would plead not guilty in a court filing earlier this week. But he essentially, and he also wrote and said that his attorneys can go ahead and do it. So, but anyway, the plea was in response to special counsel's Jack Smith's superseding indictment for alleged crimes relating to Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Smith refiled the charges, which included the same 4 felony charges after the Supreme Court landmark's decision on presidential immunity back in July. The high court ruling found presidents have immunity for official acts, but not unofficial acts while in office. And Trump has claimed that the superseding indictment filed by the Justice Department violated its own policy because of how close it was filed to the presidential election. Yeah. None of that, all of that's going to fall on deaf ears, folks. Every single one of that. And we still, by the way, we still have the whole thing of whether or not Jack Smith was constitutionally or unconstitutionally appointed. Because that still is hanging over in Judge Eileen Cannon's, even though she threw out the case, that's still going on because that's been appealed to the 11th, I think it's the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals for that. Oh, busy day. These last couple of weeks have been pretty busy, but of course, next week is the debate. And which, by the way, just as a parting shot, I'm hearing rumors that the debate prep for Kamala Harris is not going as well as what they think. So anyway. All right, folks, that pretty much wraps it up for me for tonight. So do me a favor, if you like what I do, please head on over to rumble.com. It is the free speech alternative to YouTube. Please head over to rumble.com and get yourself an account. And once you are there, and signed in, make sure you look up the American Perspective channel and give me a good old follow. Hit that green follow button. Also, too, so that way you can get alerted every time I get online and go live. Or even actually post a new video, because you'll get notifications that way. Also, too, make sure you hit those like buttons across the board everywhere you see me. Please make sure you hit those thumbs up, likes, whatever kinds of buttons, and we'll go from there. Tomorrow is Friday. I know it's kind of weird because it was technically a short week for a lot of people. But tomorrow is Friday, so we're back here on the air, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on American Perspective. As always, I appreciate you. for everything. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great night, a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.